apathy. So what I did was earlier this year, when I decided to run, I started knocking on doors. I didn't just knock on the doors of the super voters because I didn't have the list at the time. So I just knocked on every door and I talked to them, and I actually had to listen to them and find out, why haven't you voted? And they will tell me things like, I don't know the candidate. No one's ever knocked on my door. You're the first ever knock on my door in all the time years that I've lived here. They'll say that I don't know what the issues are. So they were disconnected on that until it's their taxes. And then now they're peaked in
Right.
interest. They had grown quite comfortable driving to other cities for quality of life. They just accepted it, even though they paid an enormous amount of money for their homes. So
Wow.
what I'm learning is the apathy is because they felt like powerless. So when I talk to them about, hey, you heads up, we're about to build a new recreation center. You come out so you can put some input into that. They were like, I didn't even know. It's not because the information wasn't there. There are newsletters that go out from candidates. It's on the website, things like that. But because of their day-to-day lives, they just were not tapped in. So I took it upon myself to knock on as many doors as I could, not just the super voters, keep them informed, and let them know here's what is at stake if you don't vote. And that includes young people. So I would talk to young people, and they would go, I said, well, hey, what matters to you? They were like, I don't want to live in my parents' home. And I said, they don't want you to live there either. But what if I told you if you elected the right person, they can advocate to have down payment assistance programs in your city. That way you can afford to live on your own and charge your best friend rent. And that becomes an investment property for you for the future. And they had never heard of such a thing, and they talked about things being far away. I said, having the right elected officials is important because they're the ambassador for the city. They will go talk to restaurant owners in other cities and say, I love this taco. Can you bring it to South Fulton? It's as simple as that. I've done that work. So I've reached out to people I know who own various restaurants in Vinings, in Marietta, and Ansley area, and just said, hey, right now, and some of them said because of tariffs and some issues with immigration that they're pausing a bit to see how things land, but they
Yeah.
absolutely said that they would listen. And so that's all it takes. It's about relationships and pulling folks in. So I think for me, the distinguishing factor for me with the others is I'm willing to do that. I love people, even the ones that can be complicated. I know how to navigate that. That's also part of my background, crisis comms and conflict resolution. So it's not something that I'm averse to doing, and getting those voters, pulling them in and telling them, here's your why.